Okay. Hey everyone. So I built this stadium like a few days ago. I think yesterday. I don't have perception of time, but I felt this like a few days ago, and I wanted to do a video on this, but I didn't want to finish this vlog because I did like a mistake that I'd rather do it on another video. I felt like this video would be wasted. It's over a million in flat value. I forgot how expensive it is. But this is for more for clonable modules with like interactable items. Because normally if you make something clonable, you can't use chairs or stuff like that. For a scale like this, you could also make it use circular or even elliptical stadiums. You could also use like normal box like shapes, but I felt like this shape would be more interesting, and I'd want to apply this idea on another build, still a stadium but like an actual one. So this uses the undo trick. I did a video on that, but it's a bit outdated, so I'm planning on updating a tutorial for that, but I'll come up with one here. So normally, since we have transform plus, it's not as important, but it's just basic shapes. So I have two cubes here. Let's paint it green and red. So normally, if I just want this red to be like over here, I could just use transform. If I want to go further, you see that there's a limitation, and that's where undo trick comes. So you just place it on the spot where you want the cube to be. You hold click to place, and you undo. And as you're holding click, I can still repeat it. Your object goes back, but you could still place it on that object. So if I move this green cube here, the red cube would move along with it. So you could do some cool things with it. You could do like circles and stuff, like larger circles. I see it goes along the curve. And you could even go as far as this. Look. And this build uses sandboxes because the thing about sandboxes is that it's one of the few items where you could place like floor items on it. What I'm talking about are like beds, couches, and other stuff like that. Because normally, if you use a table for a basic shape, you place like a chair on it, it won't move. But if you use a sandbox, the chair would move along with it. So that's like why I used that. For gardening items, plants, stuff like that, you can also use dirt piles. So if you want to do like a custom tree, this was like one of the things I did before. So I'll place it here to make compact wood. And then place my dirt pile into the unrestricted if I knew it's like so that's a really nice trick to use so that building is easier. Also, one tip I have is that make sure you're not wasting your time making stuff clonable if you're like cloning it once or twice. So that's that. So that's that for the undo trick. And yeah. Hello? Okay, so it's currently 10 p.m. and I wanted to build something. Like a few days ago, I was talking with some of my friends, and Capdo was asking about how to make some stuff clonable, and we showed him something. I'll probably put it up here, but I showed him that you can actually make what do you call this? Stadium parts custom are clonable, and I wanted to apply it for a video. So here we are, and I didn't think if I said it's 10 p.m. and I wanted to build something really quickly. So I was thinking what if I could try and make like an elliptical type of what do you call this stadium, and I'll be following these guidelines. So I wanted to make it elliptical, so there's gonna be like an ellipse right here. And what I want to do is that I'll make like pizza cuts of certain parts so that you could just clone it around. I plan this out so I know where the centers of my ellipse or like the focus of my ellipse are or foci. We're actually talking about math terms. If a circle has a center, an ellipse has a foci or that's two focus points, and essentially that's like where the stuff would go on. I really don't have anything big planned for this build. I just want a quick one. And what better way than to make it clonable all throughout? And I want to show like that you can make some stuff really clonable pretty easily. So let's just do this. So basic shapes. Let's start with our outline. So what I'll do is just this pizza slice. It's very small pizza then I'll just clone it around here. Then we're gonna be done with like this part. Then we're gonna do another pizza slice for this one. And basically we already have our stadium finished. And like can you imagine how quick that would be? Haven't built stadiums. I don't know anything about sports. Probably will only be finishing the shell of it all. And wanted it to have like a covering, like a roof so we'll also see if we could do that on time. Yeah. So let's do our basic stuff first. So we're gonna put our things. You could go over. There's like two ways to do this. You can, if you want it to be so precise and much more expensive though, be placing like basic shapes to like fully trace on the pizza slice. But sometimes you're gonna have an issue that there's gaps between the pizza slice because you can't be too precise with the slopes of your triangle. So it's just easier to just make it go over by a bit. It won't be that big of an issue in the long run. But that's just something to keep in mind. So I want this to get this app installed. Or if you're gonna texture this, the texture that works well with the piping or AV plastic, it's the safest option. Or if you want to be like for texture that doesn't really glitch out noticeably like concrete, I'll just continue this till we're done. Also not copying a real thing. I'm just trying to make a stadium. So there's probably gonna be changes this build as I built this app. I'm just taking the basic shape of it. Because there's gonna be like the entrance part. You need to keep that in mind. And I don't know how we'll make that. It'll be just normal stairs. And we'll find out where we'll place them. This is some. So I'm just gonna continue building this. And it's like a voiceover. You can't tell. But basically, I'm just trying to put the tiers of the city, and I'm using textures with like Z lighting or not Z lighting, but like they overlap so that I could tell that I'm going from the center. Like I'm keeping it centered because you see the overlap of their textures. They're like in the middle exactly. And what else was I doing? I'm just stacking these up and like layering them. Actually, in the end, I tried to change the levels of that since I wanted the spacing between the tiers a bit higher. So instead of like that default size, I made it like 1.5. But I forgot if I applied it at the end. But this isn't really gonna be a final build. This is just like a test run of a concept I wanted to do. And I was really happy with how this build turned out. But still, yeah, it's not that great in my opinion. And you see that earlier, I placed it all on like a very skinny basic shape so that I could how do you say this? I placed it all on a basic shape using the undo trick so I could easily rotate it along its center. So if you're going to use circles or spheres, you put it where the center of your circle would be. And it's somewhat the same case for ellipses, but if you're gonna use it for like straight lines, you could pretty much do it anywhere. It's ideal to place it on where it's gonna be hidden though. And on this part, I'm just looking for chairs I could use for this stadium. At first, I was looking at benches and the theater seating, but they seemed a bit too bulky. And in the end, I chose like a kid's chair. I really don't know the scale I should go off on. That's the thing I'm struggling. Because I could just make it like a normal scale. But if I did that, a bit of a struggle with the other parts. So, like, if I could use kids' chairs actually. Think these. Wait, that could work. Let's go to the kids. Kids section. Their chairs are not here. Only this. So what else is the small kid? We have this, which is very basic. I think we'll use this. Let's choose our colors like bright yellow, typical. And for this, we'll use like black. And this will be like yellow. This will be like red. Might be the same thing the other side. Stuff like that. Yes, okay. Now we have a plan. How will we put the chairs? We'll figure that out. We put railings here. Yeah. So I'm back to this voiceover. And now I'm just continuing and trying to fix a mistake I noticed. Like it's not centered. I don't know why I spent too much time on that. But I really wanted it to be precise. But in the end I did it like the whole general stuff of the build because this is my first time building an ellipse, like an oval, and I didn't expect it to be somewhat challenging. I mean, I didn't really plan it out. I just tried doing what worked at first, and it didn't really dawn on me that my ellipse would be a little too skinny. But when right now I'm just adding details that I eventually remove. But you could keep it if you want to, but I feel like it made it too busy and it might have been too much plot data. Also, when I checked this build's plot data, it was like 50%. I didn't show it, and the final value with like everything else was like a million. But I think the stadium by itself is like 700K. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But that's like the basic prices of stadiums, especially with like the amount of chairs that they use. It's probably cheaper to use benches, but you want to try using the kids' chairs since it's a nice way to use those items since they're like a smaller scale than normal. So now I'm like making the center and I'm resizing my basic shapes to like fit better with the alignment of like the pizza shape. If that makes sense. And yeah. Um I also did I do anything? Probably not. But it's quite a while for this build though. It's like there's like 4 minutes more of this build. But pretty much I'm just redoing what I did earlier, but I'm making it much more precise. It's easier if you clone stuff already and rotate them because you can actually compare it rather than just doing guesswork mostly, because as much as transform tool and resizing is very good as a tool, it's you really need to test things out to know if they would work. It's better to do that than just to keep guessing if you're actually placing stuff on the right place. And here you could see me adjusting the heights of what I made. And this is like why it took longer than I was supposed to on this build. And yeah, originally I was planning to do it like in like 2 hours, but I think it took me around four, which is not bad for my first time making a stadium. But Capna really inspired me in making a stadium type uh, build. Not because I like sports, but the architecture of stadiums really made me interested. But I'm not really that into sports. I think you could tell with what I build, but especially here, we don't really have we don't think we have we don't even have football here. We have football in Philippines, we don't really. But yeah, I think the biggest sport we have is like basketball or boxing. But still, I don't even watch basketball. I don't really like watching uh sports, even esports. I don't watch. So here I trying to make it clonable. We saw that, and I'm trying to add railings to the edges. I don't think I kept that, but it see me testing stuff out, and I realized that I placed like that the top parts too wide, so I just transformed them closer in so that just because I didn't want to do the work. Actually, I got lazy and I just painted it all concrete so you wouldn't be able to notice it that obviously. Yeah. So now I'm just using a crate. I'm trying to space it out, and now I'm using the sandbox again to make it clonable. If I edited this properly, you should have seen that at the start of the video. But if you didn't, I have like a very terrible guide. I don't think you could even understand it. My mic's so bad. Try to get a new one. Not really a new one, but like a more compact one. Because the one I have is like too bulky and I couldn't bring it. But here I'm just placing the chairs. I skipped it, fast forward it because I don't think it's interesting to place that chairs too fast, but you can see me using the undo trick all over and over again. So you just place the sandbox, then place the chair over it. You can just go over it. You don't need to be the same height. You could just lower the sandbox itself. And now I'm raising the whole platform itself so that like the wheels of the chair won't be shown. So it looks much more custom. So you can see me do that. Yeah. Also, there's like a small thing there. You can see that there's beams there. Those are like where two stuff meet, and that's like a guide. And on this part, I'm now adding the stairs so like people could enter from the outside. So yeah. Now for the next one. Actually gonna do this in two parts. So this one, you could see that the chairs and the sandboxes are on one spot. But since we have a challenge, we're gonna separate it with two sandboxes, one for the seating and one for. So now we're gonna do the bigger one, which is pretty much the same steps, but what they call it? It's pretty much the same steps, but it's a wider type of shape. So the basic tips would be happening. I advise you guys to use guidelines by connecting it all and like finding where it meets and placing like a structural there so that when you place your chairs, you won't overlap it, which is something that I did on this build. I didn't bother to fix it. It was like 4 a.m. and I wanted to sleep. And yeah, but that's like one tip I have. But also another tip I have is don't be too fussy with your ends not meeting. I got to focus on trying to fix that the edges. I wasted a lot of time there, and it's not really worth it since most of it would be covered up. If you were to align some stuff, I just suggest the end. And now I just place it in the middle so it's like along a grid. Then just place the chairs again and gonna do the undo trick again. Feel like I made it too fast, but I hope you understand it. It's a bit tiring though, and I skipped ahead, so you won't notice. But we're done with the second part. Now we're gonna go to the fun part, which is putting it all together. So you can see how easy it is to like make the stadium now. You just place it all. I suggest placing it on a separate grid where you'll use large grid. I made a mistake here where I placed it like not along the grid. I don't know why I did that. We are like the large or medium grid. And yeah, here I placed it all on the large grid. It's so much easier that way. You can see like in a few clicks you'll finish the whole stadium. Like look. Or also, there's like something I haven't told you guys, but if you have too much items on a shape or something, it you won't be able to transform them. It's just like something the Bloxburg limits, and you see that. So it's pretty much done. I'll just put it on the other side, and now I'll copy this one there. Like, wow. So we're back. We finally finished the build. I added some stuff just to showcase it to some people. And you can see like there's the sandboxes here stacked up, and the thing is like a slow spiraling staircase. There's like one two key takeaways from this. One is keep in mind of your ellipse. This is a bit too oblong for me. If I were to build this, I would make it less steep. That makes sense. Like, this is too long for a stadium. Like, if you're here, your stadium is like that. It feels like it's too far away. But I don't really know much about stadiums. I just do like something simple. Also, I made a mistake with how these parts go. So, like, this here is a bit crooked, but this is more of a demonstration rather than an actual update. What else? Oh, yes. So if you're gonna make things vulnerable, there's like one huge factor you have to consider since placing these on sandboxes was really tiring. So you really have to consider if it's really worth your time. Seeing how much stuff I cloned and how much chairs that was supposed to be, this was worth it. This was legitimately worth my time. I only have to place like these chairs and like these chairs. And for the amount of chairs present here, that's like a lot of saved time, which would have been just wasted hours on placing stairs. But I just needed to place them once or in two sets rather than like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 2, 14 sets. Then 1, 2, 3, 10, 10. So that's so much stuff. So much chair. I think that's it. Probably build actual I'll probably build an actual thing. They call that an actual studio in the future. Not sure if it's like next week. I want to build a house and